36 kilometers until we are done with this long trip test. But according to the car, we're gonna ride with minus 3% stated charge, so not even close to enough battery to get back to our destination. In this video, we are putting the new Volvo EX30 single motor extended range through one of the hardest tests we do here on the channel. The long trip test is designed to push EVs to their limits and find weaknesses and faults. At the end of the video, we will also rank this car based on the total charging time to complete the 610 kilometer route. How will Volvo's new small car fare, and will we uncover any major weaknesses? Before setting off on this trip, I checked the Elton charging app to see what the app wanted me to do when it came to charging. So I set the battery percentage to 100%, I chose the car in the app and also put in the route. And the car wants us to do 3 charging stops, one at Circle K in Brooklandsheia, the second one at Ionity in Lillesand, and then the third one at Esso in Rugtvedt. But what is very curious is that I've also put the route into the built-in navigation system, Kristiansand, which is our turnaround point, and also Esso, Schlepp, and then where we started as our endpoint. And the car has not added any charging stops, which is really weird because I've used Android Automotive in Volvos and in Polestars earlier, and this is what this navigation system usually is really good at. It just adds the charging stops, but it hasn't done that for this route, which is really curious. I haven't experienced that before. I've also tested this car earlier in the week in a motorway range test, and I didn't have enough juice to get back to my destination, and the car added a charging stop. So I don't know why it hasn't done that now. It just tells us we're gonna arrive back at where we started with minus 76% stated charge. The car also shows that we're gonna arrive in Kristiansand with 9%. It's been fluctuating between 7 and 9% stated charge, and on this trip so far it seems to be accurate. But again, when I did my range test earlier this week, much worse weather, I mean terrible weather, the car just wasn't able to reach the destination even though the car estimated it would do that. So it seems that this is much more reliable now, and I really want to go to Kristiansand and stop and charge. I mean, I want to go there before we stop and charge because we're going to arrive there just before rush hour traffic if we don't have to stop and charge. If we have to stop and charge, we're going to hit that rush hour traffic, and that is something I absolutely want to avoid. Just a quick update, an hour later, I've decided to stop to charge at the Ionity charging station in Lillesand before we arrive in Kristiansand. The car was estimating we would have been able to arrive in Kristiansand with about 5 to 7% stated charge, but I want the battery to precondition, and then I had to enter this charger manually and I had to do a search. But now the car knows that we're going to stop there, and it should precondition the battery so we get that optimal charging speed. And hopefully we'll just do a short charging stop, maybe only 10 minutes to get a little bit of juice into the battery, and then arrive in Kristiansand before the worst of rush hour traffic. Okay guys, we are now here at Ionity in Lillesand, and we're gonna stop and charge here. So I'm just gonna fire up the Elton charging app, which I am using in today's test, and we're gonna choose the Ionity chargers here, 10, 18, 10, there we go. And then we start it there. I just unlatch it and connect it to the car. So the Volvo EX30 does not have a charging screen where it shows the charging speed inside the car, which is a very weird decision. I talked to my friend Volvo Christian, who has tested these cars extensively before I took delivery of this press car, and he told me this exact same thing. There is no dedicated charging screen that shows the charging speed. It shows the charging percent, but not the charging speed. So we'll have to wait here until the charging actually starts. So we stopped here with 7% stated charge, and the average consumption thus far is 20.3 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which is considerably lower than what we had in my range test the other day in pretty bad conditions. So let's see if, there we have the 7%. Is the camera picking this up? I mean, it's a little bit hard to film this screen, but we're getting 59% state of charge now. Let's check back at 20% state of charge to see if we're gonna get more decent speed than 60 kilowatts. Okay, we didn't have to wait too long. After only 3 minutes connected to the charger and at 13% state of charge, we're getting now 150, 960, 162, 63 is hopping up and down a little bit, but 162 kilowatts, yeah, that is actually pretty decent. So we're going to do a short charging stop here. I'm just going to hop in and, you know, buy a coffee, buy something to drink. I think we're going to do a maximum of 10 minutes so we can try to beat that, you know, traffic into Kristiansand. Look at this, guys. We just beat traffic because it's starting right now. You can see the slow moving cars at the end of our route, or where we're going to turn around and exit the E18 motorway. So if we, you know, was maybe 10-15 minutes later, I'm pretty sure that traffic would have been, you know, stuck up, yeah, a lot further back. As we've done now for a while, we are looping around a different way than we've done for several years. I mean, I've been doing this test since 2020. And usually we, you know, went to the next exit and then we went to the train station, but now we're exiting before we're looping around just to give us a much smoother and more natural route. But we're here in Kristiansand now, and let's take a look at the consumption. You have to press one button and then you have to go into car status and then trip info. It is really cumbersome. I don't know why they did it that way, and the road is closed here, but it says to take a right. Then we have to go right and then we loop around here. Okay, this was unexpected. But yeah, you have to do 3 button presses to be able to, you know, check out your trip data, to check out your consumption. And as the car says here, we are at 20.0 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. This was, yeah, this was a route, but it looks like we're gonna be looped around. But yeah, so once we get down here, and then we loop around. I see, you can see the traffic over there, guys. We just have to be looped around the building because of some construction. So we're going to take a right here, and then we're going to enter on the E18 again and then start moving northward. So yeah, we're here now, pretty calm, but it is quite mild outside now, 4 degrees Celsius. Not too bad, a lot warmer than we've had, you know, not quite mild. I mean, it's a little bit milder than what we had when we started at around 0 degrees Celsius, but it is blowing outside, so it's still pretty cold. But yeah, we're gonna take a right here and then we're gonna enter on the E18 motorway northward again. And also, guys, we charged to 40%. We did a 10% charging stop, a pretty rapid one, and we were using the Elton charging app, and they are actually giving away 1,000 kroners in charging with the Elton charging app. So if you wanna download the app and then register down below, you're eligible to win 1,000 kroners in charging if you live in Norway, Sweden, Finland, or Denmark, where the Elton charging app works with a lot of charge point operators, almost all of them. Okay, we are now here at Recharge Tvedestrand, and looks like they have actually changed the charging screens here. This is what I was, you know, a little bit worried about, is the peak charging speed of 120 kilowatts, which these chargers, well, have been limited to because of those thinner cables than the newer chargers that Kempower deliver. Even though there is a sticker that says 150 kilowatts, the screen is now accurate. But okay, that is what we have. We don't have enough juice to go to the next charging station, which is Circle K in Brooklandsheia, because we are at, well, 3% state of charge, and the car says we're going to be here with 2% state of charge. So quickly before we hop out, let's take a look at the trip computer. We are up to now 20.5 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So let's see if we get a decent charging curve here. I think we're just going to do this charging stop here, but maybe we should do a shorter one here and then top up somewhere else at a quicker charger. Third charging stop, only about 25-30 kilometers up the road from our second charging stop, which we did cut short because of the limited charging speed. We peaked at like 122 kilowatts, so I charged to like 21%. So we charged for 10 minutes, but the charging speed below 10% is so slow in this car, starting at like 20 kilowatts and like up to only 60 kilowatts until we're at like 10% stated charge. So it was a compromise either way and not, optimal for this long trip test. And also I navigated to the Circle K chargers up the road about 30 minutes from here, 27 minutes, 34 kilometers furthermore. But again, because I didn't charge more than till 21%, the car estimated we would arrive with like 3% or 4% stated charge. Again, having that problem of that low charging speed below 10% stated charge. So I decided to stop and charge here, connect at 13% stated charge for two reasons. One, being above 10% means we're going to get a higher charging speed in this car, and also these chargers can deliver 300 kilowatts. All of these, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them here. And in Circle K at Bumble, I think most of them are like 150 kilowatts. Maybe they have 1 or 2 that are 300 kilowatts, but also that is usually a much, much more busy station. So I thought that this would be better. And according to the car, let's see here, if we just stop the navigation to that other Circle K charger, and so 33% state of charge, minus 33% state of charge, means that we have to charge maybe about, let's see, we're at 23%, so that's about, what's that, quick math is like 55? Yeah, 55%, so maybe we go to 60 or 65% state of charge. So I think either way, this is better for this trip and getting, the shortest charging time possible. So let's just hop out quickly and see what charging speed we are now getting. Yeah, look at that, guys. This was the absolute right decision. 24% state of charge, now getting 156 kilowatts. So I think this was the best strategy to have the shortest charging time possible for this trip on the third and last charging stop of the day. 36 kilometers until we are done with this long trip test. But according to the car, we're gonna ride with minus 3% stated charge, so not even close to enough battery to get back to our destination. We have 1% state of charge left with 20 kilometers to go, and it is uphill. This is an uphill battle. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to make it or what we're going to do, but there's one thing that is promising, is that the car's able to hold a constant 100 kilometers an hour uphill, and that means that there is enough juice in the battery to discharge enough horsepower for us to go the speed limit uphill, and that is promising. No turtle mode, no nothing, so this car may just have a buffer below zero, and we are at zero now. That is actually pretty decent, but according to the car, we're gonna ride with minus 4%, so I don't know. Crossing my fingers, guys. Okay, guys, do not do this at home. This is sketchy AF. Really, guys, we just went down to like 60 kilometers an hour, and we are in turtle mode, even though the car doesn't say turtle mode, but somehow we're now up to minus 1%. This is actually looking promising that we may be able to get there. That is just insane. Now that it is downhill, we're able to go like 90 kilometers an hour. I don't know, we were just drafting behind one of these trucks like super closely. And yeah, this is insane. Don't try this at home, guys, but this may actually work. Somehow, guys, 0% stated charge suddenly. It looks like we're going to be able to make it with 2.1 kilometers left. Yeah, we're just going to go as fast as possible downhill here. building as much momentum as possible to get over the last top. Just a small hill up here, and then it's just sailing all the way into the charger. Holy crap, guys, we actually made it. That is insane. That was sketchy AF. Don't try that at home. Don't try that on the road. Just don't do it, guys. That's why I make these videos. And I actually have to turn up the heat now, because before we went that last section uphill, I actually turned the temperature down to 20 degrees Celsius and also turned off the heated steering wheel. This car, you have to run it like at 22, 23 for it to be comfortable. Now I just want to heat up the cabin because, yeah, it is like 1 degree Celsius outside. It is pretty cold, and we've been connected now for a few minutes and charging, but the car's still like showing 0 state of charge, which is insane. So I just have to preface it really clearly. Don't try this at home, guys. That's why I make these videos. So we arrived here with, yeah, of course, 0% stated charge, average consumption 20.5 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, I think. Is that what we got? Yeah, that is not too bad. That is not too bad. And before we, reveal the results, what is bad is the calibration of the navigation system and route planner in this car, because honestly I went to with a buffer of like 7 or 8%, and that should be enough for us to trust the car and be able to get back here without playing like chicken with the car, just taking chances and risks as I did, because we did go into turtle mode even though the car didn't say it. When it was a little bit uphill, we got like a maximum speed like 60 kilometers an hour, and also on once we exited and on the roundabout over here, like 30 kilometers an hour. So super sketchy. Don't try that. So guys, you're here at the end of the video because you want to know the results, and usually I prepare at the end of the videos, but we did 1, 2, 3 charging sessions. First charging session 10 minutes, second charging session 10 minutes, and the third charging session 15 minutes, for a total charging time of 35 minutes to cover today's trip of 610 kilometers on this long trip test. And if we look at the chart, it's not a very good result, but considering it is winter, it was cold today, it was between -1 and +4 degrees Celsius, but honestly, most of the trip, it was like 0 to 2 degrees Celsius. So pretty cold. And yeah, we also, this shows that this test isn't it's not a lab test, right? It's a real world test where we don't get to prepare a lot with the car. It's not a car that I'm super familiar with. It's not a car I've owned for months or years where I know where to push it and not to push it. As much as the point of this test is to time the actual charging sessions and the charging time, one big, point of this test is also to push the cars to the limit and find where the weaknesses are. As I said in the beginning, this is one of the hardest tests we do here on the channel, where we push the cars to the limit, and not only to, measure the charging time over a trip, but also to find the weaknesses. And we found a few weaknesses today. Amongst that is charging this car when you are below 10% stated charge is a huge weakness, and also the calibration of this specific car when it comes to the navigation and the route planning. And I say this specific car because I've had a lot of Volvos on test and Polestars, and most of them are really nicely calibrated, but a few select are like this car, where you can't trust it. And if I knew this, I would probably charge to like 10 or 12% buffer instead of 7, 8, and we wouldn't have this issue. So that is what we find out in these tests, and I'm going to talk about the software more in depth in my review, which will be in the next video, so you don't want to miss out on that video, guys. Press that subscribe button and also hit that notification bell. Also give this video a thumbs up if you like me pushing these cars to the limit, because in the next video I'm going to talk about this in depth. I'm also going to talk about my conversation with Anna, who was responsible for the software in this, who I got to meet a few weeks ago in northern Sweden at one of the Arctic drives of this car, which was a very interesting conversation. But I want to end on a positive note, because I think this platform is actually really great. The seats are comfortable, the car is really good to drive, it is very comfortable, the suspension is so compliant, the car is sporty and fun to drive, and it's also a lot quieter than the CMA platform cars, which is interesting. Volvo EX30, EC40, and Polestar 2. So in a lot of ways, this is a very, very impressive product. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later and goodbye.